The year was 2374. Humanity had joined the stars long ago, traveling beyond their solar system and meeting new worlds. Now, Earth was part of a large group called the Galactic Accord, made up of many different alien civilizations. They shared knowledge, technology, and peace. Among the Accord's members was a mysterious race known as the Thalvarans. They were not like humans. They had smooth, glowing skin that shimmered like glass, and their eyes sparkled with changing colors. Thalvarans could not lie, because they spoke through emotions. They used something called empathic telepathy. They could feel what others felt, and send feelings instead of words. Lieutenant Daniel Reyes, a 28-year-old human linguist, was sent on a peaceful mission to their planet, Thalvera. He worked for the United Earth Embassy as an expert in alien languages and communication. His job was to understand the Thalvarans better and build trust. He arrived with a small team, but it was Daniel who was chosen to work closely with a Thalvaran scholar named Kailari. She was tall, graceful, and intelligent. Her voice sounded like a soft echo, and her presence was calm and powerful. Kailari had studied Earth from a distance, but this was her first time speaking directly with a human. Their first meetings were quiet and careful. Daniel shared human books and music. He showed her pictures of oceans, forests, cities, and families. Kailari, in return, explained Thalvaran culture, their way of life, and their long history of peace and emotional connection. She taught him how they use emotion to communicate deeper truths. One evening, they were sitting together near the edge of a floating crystal lake. The water reflected the sky, which had 3 moons. It was a peaceful place, where they often talked after work. Kailari looked up at the stars. "Your people," she said gently. "They carry both light and fire. You feel so much and yet you hide it." Daniel smiled. "We've had to. History wasn't kind to us, but we're trying." Kailari tilted her head. "And you hide your pain with humor. That is very human." Daniel chuckled. "Guilty. It's easier to laugh than to explain feelings we don't even understand." Kailari watched him, her eyes swirling with soft blue and green light. "We sense feelings clearly. But you, Daniel, you are not like the others. You do not hide as much." He looked down, suddenly shy. "Maybe because I like talking to you, you actually listen." They sat in silence for a while. The air was cool and tiny glowing insects floated near the lake. Then Daniel, half joking, half serious, looked at Kailari and said with a soft smile, "I wish I could marry someone like you." Kailari's eyes widened. For a moment, her light pulsed with a deep golden hue. Her gaze locked onto his face. She didn't speak right away. Daniel didn't notice. He thought of it as just a compliment, something sweet to say in a quiet moment. To Kailari, however, the words meant something, much more. Among her people, emotions held great power. When someone spoke from the heart, especially during moments of calm and honesty, it was considered a bonding vow. And when Kailari reached into his emotions, gently, without force, she felt no deception. His feelings were genuine. To humans, it was just a nice thing to say. To Thalvarans, it was a promise. That night, Kailari went to the Elder Circle, the leaders of her people. She told them what had happened. "He does not understand," she said. "But he spoke with his heart. I felt it." The elders were curious. For thousands of years, no Thalvaran had bonded with an outsider. Some were concerned. Others were excited. This could be the beginning of something new, a bridge between 2 species. Meanwhile, Daniel returned to the Earth Embassy quarters, unaware of the change. He thought about Kailari often. She was kind, wise, and beautiful in a way he couldn't fully describe. But he never thought his words had caused such a reaction. The next morning, everything felt different. When Daniel arrived for his usual session, Kailari was waiting, standing tall in ceremonial robes. Her colors were brighter than ever, shining with golden light. Behind her were 2 elder Thalvarans and several observers. Daniel paused, confused. "Is something wrong?" Kailari stepped forward. You spoke a vow last night. Daniel blinked. A vow? What vow? You said you wished to marry someone like me. His face turned red. Oh, that wasn't, I didn't mean it like, it was just a kind thing to say. Kailari paused, then spoke with calm certainty. Among my people, such words are sacred when said with truth. I looked into your heart, you meant it, Daniel stammered. I like you, Kailari. You're amazing. But I didn't think you'd take it literally. I do not take it lightly, she said. And I accept. Daniel stood frozen, mouth open, as the gathered Thalvarans let out a gentle wave of emotional approval, something like applause made of feelings. He was now, without planning or knowing, engaged to a Thalvaran woman, and that was only the beginning. Lieutenant Daniel Reyes sat in his small room at the Earth Embassy, staring at the ceiling. His mind was full of questions. Just yesterday, he had said something simple, something kind. I wish I could marry someone like you. He thought it was only a compliment, but now somehow it had turned into a public event. The Thalvaran scholar Kailari, a woman he admired deeply, had accepted his words as a real proposal. He didn't understand how things had changed so fast. This morning, the Thalvarans had held a small ceremony. Daniel had been brought in front of a group of elders. Kailari stood beside him, calm and confident, dressed in flowing robes that glowed softly in the sunlight. She gently told the crowd. He spoke with honesty. I accept his vow. Daniel had tried to speak, but the Thalvarans had already begun sharing emotional signals, feelings of happiness, acceptance, and unity. It was clear they believed the Yai bond was real. Now Daniel wasn't sure what to do. He opened a communication line to the Earth Embassy leadership. The Earth Ambassador Julia Shen appeared on his screen. What happened, Lieutenant? She asked, her voice serious. I think I accidentally got engaged, he said quietly. The ambassador stared at him. You think? Daniel explained everything, his words at the lake. Kailari's response, the ceremony, the elders' approval. Ambassador Shen sighed. This could be a serious situation. The Thalvarans are important allies. We can't afford to offend them. I didn't mean to offend anyone, Daniel said. I like her. I didn't know it would mean marriage. I understand, she replied. But right now the Council on Earth is watching. They're worried. If you walk away, it might damage years of trust between our people and theirs. So what do I do? Daniel asked. For now, Shen said carefully, just go along with it. Smile. Learn more. If you still want to step back later, we'll find a way. But for now, be respectful. Be careful. Daniel sighed and nodded. Understood. Later that day, Kailari invited him to walk with her through the Garden of Lights, a famous Thalvaran place of peace. Trees glowed softly and the air smelled sweet like fresh rain. Daniel walked beside her, nervous but curious. I hope I didn't bring you trouble, Kailari said gently, sensing his emotions. You didn't, Daniel replied. I just didn't understand how powerful my words were to your people. You meant them, Kailari said with certainty. I saw the feeling inside you when you spoke. Among my kind, truth of the heart is sacred. I didn't lie, Daniel admitted. I think you're amazing. Kind, wise, beautiful in a way that's hard to describe. Kailari smiled, her eyes glowing soft gold. Then why do you hesitate? Because I'm human. We say things we feel in the moment, but it doesn't always mean we're making a promise. That is strange, Kailari said. To feel deeply but not follow the feeling. Among my people, if you speak from the heart, it becomes your path. Daniel thought about that. Maybe humans are afraid. We've made mistakes, big ones, so now we move slowly. Kailari nodded, thoughtful. Fear is a shadow of love. Still, I will not force you. If your path changes, I will understand. But I do not regret accepting your vow. Daniel stopped walking. He looked at her closely. even if I didn't mean it as a proposal? I do not need a ceremony to know what is real, Kalari said. Your words were small, but your emotions were strong. That is what I accepted. Daniel didn't know what to say. He wasn't angry, he wasn't scared, he was confused and curious. The next morning, a message arrived from the Thalvaran Council. They had invited Daniel and Kalari to attend a gathering at the Hall of Echoes. It was a formal event with leaders from both species present. Word of their bonding had spread quickly. Many wanted to witness the first connection between human and Thalvaran on such a deep level. Daniel dressed in his formal uniform. As he looked in the mirror, he wondered, was this a mistake? Or was it fate? When he arrived at the Hall of Echoes, Kalari was already there. She wore a new robe with silver threads, her eyes glowing with emotion. The ceremony began. Music filled the air, not with instruments but with pure feelings. The Thalvarans didn't sing words. They shared emotion through energy, creating a kind of symphony of the heart. Daniel felt waves of joy, wonder, and peace. The leader of the Thalvaran Council, Alaran, stood and addressed the room. This bond is not one of politics, nor of planning. It is one of the soul. It began with a single sentence, a wish. But it grew because both hearts were open. Kalari turned to Daniel. Do you wish to walk beside me, even if you do not know the full path ahead? Daniel took a deep breath. Everyone watched. I don't know what the future holds, he said honestly. But I know this. When I'm with you, I feel something I haven't felt in a long time, peace and hope. The Thalvarans sent out a quiet pulse of golden light. It meant acceptance. Kalari reached out and took his hand gently. It was the first time she had touched him. You speak not just with words, Daniel Reyes, she whispered. You speak with your heart. As they walked out of the Hall of Echoes, the stars above them shimmered. Daniel had entered this world as a visitor. Now he was part of something far greater, and deep inside he no longer wanted to run from it. For the next few days, Daniel Reyes became the center of attention on Thalvera. Wherever he went, Thalvarans greeted him with soft glowing waves of emotion, curiosity, joy, and even pride. To them, he was now a symbol of a new bond between humans and their people. Daniel, however, felt like he was walking in a dream. He wasn't sure if he should feel proud, nervous, or completely confused. At first, he had planned to explain everything clearly, to tell Kalari and the Thalvarans that what he said was just a kind comment, not a proposal. But now it was. Too late. The bond had already become public, and Kalari had accepted it with full belief. Even worse, Earth's government had sent him a message. The words were polite, but the meaning was clear. Don't do anything to damage this connection. Earth wanted peace, and more than that, they wanted to keep the Thalvarans as friends and allies. Just play along, Ambassador Julia Shen had told him. Stay respectful. We'll help you step back later, slowly. Daniel wasn't sure how long he could play along, but the more time he spent with Kalari, the harder it became to pretend. She was not just kind and wise, she was truly interested in him. She asked about Earth's cultures, its music, its mistakes, and more than anything, she listened. One afternoon, as they walked near the floating crystal lake again, Kalari looked at him with quiet thoughtfulness. You are quieter now, she said. Your heart feels uncertain. Daniel nodded. I just don't know if I belong in your world. I'm not special, Kalari. I'm just a man who said something he didn't fully understand. You are honest, she said. That is more special than you know. Before Daniel could answer, a group of Thalvarans appeared nearby. One of them stepped forward, tall and proud, with robes that shimmered like fire. It was Varesh Kun, a respected noble and powerful empath. He had once been considered a potential mate for Kalari, and now he looked at Daniel with sharp eyes full of judgment. I wish to speak, Varesh said, his voice calm but firm, before this bond goes further. Kalari's expression changed. She stood tall. You may speak, Varesh, but with respect. Varesh's gaze stayed on Daniel. This human is not of our world. He does not understand our ways. His heart may feel true, but he cannot walk the path of an empath. I never claimed to be perfect, Daniel said, meeting his eyes. Varesh tilted his head. Then prove. Your heart is ready. Take the trial of depths. If your bond with Kalari is strong, you will succeed. If not, this connection must end. Daniel looked at Kalari. She was silent for a moment, then turned to him and said softly, You do not have to accept. This trial is hard even for us. What is it? Daniel asked. It is a test of the heart, Kalari explained. You will enter a deep empathic state. You will face your memories, your fears, your truths, and you cannot hide. The trial shows your real self. Daniel hesitated. The idea of letting others feel his pain, his past, his regrets, it scared him. But then he remembered something Kalari had told him. To feel deeply is not weakness, it is strength. He took a deep breath. I'll do it. The next day, Daniel stood inside a glowing circle of light. The trial chamber was silent. Only Kalari and a few Thalvaran elders stood nearby. Varesh Kun watched with folded arms, his expression calm but cold. The empathic trial began. Daniel felt a soft pulse enter his mind. He was not asleep, but not fully awake either. Memories started to rise like waves. At first, they were small. His childhood. The day he joined the Space Academy. His first journey off Earth. Then came the harder ones. The face of his younger sister who had died in an accident back on Earth. The regret of not saying goodbye. The loneliness of space. The fear of never being truly understood. The room around him faded. Only the emotions remained. Pain, guilt, longing. But then he felt something else. A calm warmth. Kalari. Her presence entered the space of his mind. Not pushing, not controlling, but gently supporting. She saw everything. She felt everything, and she didn't turn away. Instead, her energy reached out with quiet strength. I am here, it said. You are not alone. Daniel opened his eyes, tears in them. He had passed the trial. The elders nodded in approval. One of them, a wise female named Aranel, spoke clearly. The bond is strong. His truth has been shown. Varesh Kun said nothing. He simply bowed his head and walked away. Her warm face appeared on the screen. Hi, Danny, she said with a smile. I know things are probably complicated out there, but I just wanted to tell you, I'm proud of you. Whether you come home or not, you've already done something amazing. Daniel felt his eyes sting. His mother rarely sent messages. This one felt like a quiet goodbye, but also an open door. The next morning, Kalari brought him to the Circle of Voices, a large gathering space where leaders from different Thalvaran regions met. Today they had invited Daniel to speak. He didn't expect that. One of the elders, Aranel, spoke first. Daniel Reyes, you have formed a rare bond with one of our own, and now you must answer a final question. Daniel stood tall, trying to hide his nervousness. What question? Aranel raised her hand. Will you choose to stay? Not just in body, but in heart? If you do, we will honor you. If you leave, we will respect you. But the bond with Kalari cannot exist halfway. Kalari looked at him, her eyes full of understanding. She didn't speak, but he could feel her calm presence through their connection. She was not pressuring him. She would accept his choice, whatever it was. Daniel closed his eyes for a moment. He thought of Earth, the stars, the people he left behind, the uniform, the medals. Then he thought of Kalari, the glowing lake, the songs of memory, the moment they shared in the heart of echoes. He opened his eyes. I came to Thalvira by accident. I stayed because of duty. But now I choose to remain because of something more. Because I've found someone who understands me in a way no one ever has. He turned to Kalari. You helped me see myself clearly, and for the first time I'm not afraid of the future. I choose this world. I choose this bond. I choose you." The chamber remained silent for a moment. Then a soft wave of golden light rose from the floor, filling the room. It was a sign of acceptance. The elders bowed. Kailari stepped forward and placed both hands over Daniel's. "In our way, this is a vow," she whispered. "No need for rings, only truth." Daniel nodded. "Then I vow it." As they walked out into the twilight, Daniel felt a strange mix of peace and excitement. The stars above looked the same, but everything had changed. "You're not afraid anymore?" Kailari asked. "I'm still human," he said with a smile. "So maybe a little, but I'm also yours now." They laughed softly, walking hand in hand under the glowing trees. In that moment, it didn't matter where Earth was or what the future held. All that mattered was the truth between them, and the bond that had begun with a simple sentence. And somewhere in the skies above, a human heart and an alien soul beat in harmony. For a while, everything felt perfect. Daniel and Kailari spent their days learning more about each other's cultures. Kailari taught Daniel how to read emotion threads in Thalvaran art, while he taught her old Earth songs, jokes, and stories. Together they visited other cities across Thalvera, floating islands, crystal caverns, and ancient temples that whispered history into the wind. The people accepted Daniel fully now. Children smiled when they saw him. Elders greeted him with soft touches of light. He no longer felt like a guest. He felt like a part of something bigger than himself. But far above, in the quiet orbit of space, change was coming. A human ship, sleek, fast, and bristling with scanners, had entered Thalvaran, space without full permission. Its name was ECS Valor, and it was not just a science vessel. It carried orders. Daniel first learned of the ship's arrival from Kailari. "There's been a breach," she said, her tone calm but serious. "A human vessel is near the outer moons. They haven't attacked, but they've ignored our warnings." Daniel felt his chest tighten. "Do they know I'm still here?" "We believe they do, and they've sent a message." The message was simple and direct. "Lieutenant Daniel Reyes, your presence is requested aboard ECS Valor immediately. Earth Command requires your assistance." Kailari watched his face carefully. "What will you do?" Daniel stared at the message. "I don't know, but if they've come all this way, they won't leave quietly." He traveled to the Thalvaran orbital platform with Kailari beside him. From there, he could see the ECS Valor in the distance, gray and cold against the stars, unlike the warm colors of Thalvaran ships. A shuttle came to receive him. Kailari touched his arm before he stepped aboard. "No matter what happens, remember who you are now." He nodded, holding her gaze. "I won't forget." The human shuttle felt strange. The air was dry. The silence was heavy. When Daniel entered the ship's command deck, he saw familiar faces, some old academy friends, others high-ranking officers. Captain Amelia Stroud, a firm and respected leader, stood at the center. "Lieutenant Reyes," she said, "you've changed." "I've grown," he replied, "and I'm not a lieutenant anymore." "You always will be to Earth," she said. She gestured for him to sit. "We're here because Earth Command believes the Thalvarans are hiding something. We've detected strange energy patterns near their core cities. Some believe it's dangerous. Some believe it's advanced technology we must study." Daniel's face hardened. "They're not hiding. They're protecting what matters to them." Captain Stroud raised an eyebrow. "You've gone native then?" "I've found peace," he said calmly, "and someone who makes me want to be better." Stroud tapped the table. "We're not here to fight, but Earth Command won't accept peace as an answer forever. If you help us study the energy source peacefully, we can avoid conflict. Otherwise," Daniel narrowed his eyes. "Otherwise what?" "Earth may consider force." The silence between them felt like the space between stars, cold, wide, and dangerous. Daniel returned to Thalvera with a heavy heart. He told Kailari everything. "They want the heart of our world." she said softly. But they don't understand it. It's not just power. It's life itself. If they touch it the wrong way, they could destroy everything. I know, Daniel said. But they won't listen to me alone. I need to show them something they can feel. Kailari looked thoughtful. There is one way. She led him deep, into the caverns below the capital city, far below any place he had seen before. There, a lake of glowing energy shimmered with gentle light. It was alive, humming softly with memory and emotion. Kailari explained, "This is the soul spring. It connects all Thalvarans. It holds our history, our energy. If Earth truly wants to understand us, they must feel this, not take it, but share it." Daniel nodded slowly. "Can you bring someone here safely?" "Only one. Only if their heart is open." The next day, Daniel returned to ECS Valor and asked to speak privately with Captain Stroud. "I want to show you something," he said. "You'll have to trust me." Stroud frowned. "We don't trust easily." "You trusted me once," he said. She finally agreed. With heavy security watching from orbit, Daniel brought her to the Soul Spring. At first, the captain stood stiff and unsure, but as she stepped closer to the glowing waters, the energy touched her gently. Her memories played in the light, her childhood, her fear of war, her dreams of peace. Tears formed in her eyes. "This is beautiful," Kailari spoke gently. "Now you see why we protect it." Captain Stroud looked at Daniel. "We've made a mistake. This isn't a weapon. It's a heart." Later, a peaceful message was sent from ECS Valor to Earth. Command: Thalvaran energy systems are not threats. Any forceful action would be harmful to both sides. We recommend building trust. Slowly, carefully, respectfully. It was a victory, but only the first step. Daniel and Kailari stood on a high hill that night watching the stars. "Do you think they'll listen?" she asked. "Some will," Daniel said. "And maybe that's enough to start." She looked at him, eyes glowing with calm light. "You've become more than just a visitor. You've become a bridge." He smiled, "And I'm proud of it." They held hands as the wind sang through the trees, carrying hope from one world to another. Time passed, not quickly, but peacefully. Daniel remained on Thalvera. After the meeting with Captain Stroud and the sharing of the Soul Spring, things slowly began to change between Earth and the Thalvarans. No longer were they two sides standing far apart. A path of trust had begun. The first human scientists arrived with permission. They came not with weapons, but with open hearts. Thalvarans welcomed them with quiet caution, and Daniel became the bridge between both worlds. He translated, not just words, but feelings. He helped humans understand why the Thalvarans moved so slowly, why they sang to crystals, why silence sometimes meant more than speech. He helped the Thalvarans understand Earth's ways too, why humans rushed, dreamed of the stars, and asked many questions. Together, slowly, both sides began to learn. One morning, Daniel sat with Kailari beside a quiet river, watching small, glowing fish swim in circles. "Sometimes I wonder," he said, "what would have happened if my ship hadn't crashed?" Kailari smiled, dipping her fingers into the water. "Then I would have never met the human who said something very strange." Daniel laughed. "I said I wished I could marry someone like you." "And I told you something unbelievable," Kailari replied gently. He looked at her with deep warmth in his eyes. "You did. You said, 'Why not someone exactly like me?'" She nodded. "And I still mean it." Daniel took a deep breath. "Kailari, I think I'm ready to take that next step. I want to share everything with you, my life, my heart, and even my weird Earth habits." Kailari tilted her head. "Are you asking for what your people call a marriage?" "Yes," Daniel said. "In every way our two hearts can understand it." The Thalvarans did not have weddings like Earth. There were no rings, no vows before crowds. But they did have something sacred. the binding of light. Daniel and Kalari stood in a quiet grove filled with singing vines. Around them, friends and elders gathered, including a few humans who had earned the Talvaran's trust. Kalari's long robe shimmered with living patterns, like the sky during dawn. Daniel wore a soft tunic stitched with light-sensitive thread that responded to his emotions. Every time he smiled, it glowed gently. 2 small crystals floated between them. These crystals would carry their shared memories and emotions, bound together by the soul spring. Elder Aranel stepped forward. "In this moment," she said, "2 souls, once from different stars, choose to walk together, not as human and Thalvaran, but as one." Kalari reached for the first crystal. "I offer my past, my hopes, my voice, and my song." Daniel took the second. "And I offer my heart, my courage, my love, and my story." The crystals pulsed with soft golden light, then merged into one. A new shape, never seen before, a smooth diamond with both their energy signatures inside. Around them, the grove lit up. Even the trees seemed to hum in joy. The bond was complete. Later that evening, after laughter and music filled the air, Daniel and Kalari walked alone beneath the glowing trees. "Did you ever imagine this?" Kalari asked, her voice barely louder than the breeze. "No," Daniel admitted, "not even in my wildest dreams. I came from a place where people still feared what they didn't understand. But now, I live in a place where hearts lead the way." Kalari looked up at the twin moons above them. "It wasn't just the crash that brought you here. It was something deeper. The stars have a way of guiding those who are lost." Daniel nodded. "And I think they guided me to you." They stopped at the lake where they had first touched the soul spring together. "It all began here," Daniel said. Kalari took his hand. "And it continues. There is more to build now. Between worlds, between hearts." In the months that followed, Daniel and Kalari became more than a couple. They became symbols of hope. Earth and Thalvera agreed to share peaceful knowledge. Cultural exchanges began. Children from both worlds learned about each other. Art, science, and kindness were traded more than machines or weapons. Daniel helped build the first Unity Garden, a school and research center that stood between Earth's moon station and Thalvera's nearest outpost. Inside, humans and Thalvarans worked side by side. One day, while teaching a group of young students about the stars, a small Thalvaran child raised a hand. "Teacher Daniel," she asked, "do you ever miss your old world?" Daniel smiled, thoughtfully. "I carry it with me, just like I carry this one. And that's the beautiful part. We don't have to choose one or the other. We can live between them." Years later, legends were told on both planets. Some spoke of the human who came from the sky and stayed not for power, but for love. Others spoke of the Thalvaran woman who trusted a stranger with her soul. Children listened with wide eyes. Elders nodded with quiet smiles, and in the stars above, a small ship carried their names, carved side by side in both languages. Daniel Reyes and Kalari, A Promise Between Stars. The End.